Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to Predatory Exotics. Today we are going to be doing a bioactive setup for our Crested Gecko Pip. She is in the 45cm cube just behind Ollie here. We're going to be upgrading to a 45-45-60 tool, so an arboreal species. It's going to have more room to climb, explore, stuff like that. We've got a nice lot of plants behind me.
Yeah, we've got loads of soil, we've got all the stones, we're going to be getting into that. We've been saving up and kind of collecting bits over the past few weeks, months, kind of getting ready for the upgrade. And now that he or she is growing quite big, we should be able to sex them soon, and then yeah, they're going to need more space, so we're going to upgrade them into this one.
So step one in our bioactive build is to put in the drainage layer. This is important so that there's no stagnant water in the bottom of your tank, keeps it nice and fresh. So we are going to be using the Zoomed Hydro Balls, which are a nice addition. Obviously we are going to have to rinse these out first because they're quite dusty. We don't want that clogging up the drainage layer. It's basically designed so any excess water goes through your soil, through your mesh barrier, into the bottom, and it creates sort of aerobic environment, so there's no mold or anything like that.
So let's switch over to us rinsing this out. You just use regular water and like a sieve, and just clean it out, make sure that all the dust is off it. So we're going to go do that now. I can see it all draining out the bottom, all the dirty water.
So we've got half of our hydro balls here. We're doing it in batches just so we can mix it up, get all that dirt out, because we don't want the dirt blocking up the drainage layer. Because the whole point of the drainage layer is that the water filters down and fills up the bottom. It won't be able to fill it up if it's full of dirt.
Time to get the next batch. So now that we've put in our hydro balls at the bottom, we are going to be adding in a drainage mesh layer. This makes sure that none of the substrate gets down and in and mixes with all the hydro balls at the bottom. We've gone with the Exoterra one because this is one that's perfectly to fit this size tank. It's the 45-45, so we're just going to be laying that over top.
So this will actually stop all the substrate getting into the drainage layer, which we don't want. This will just be a protective barrier, letting the water drain through our soil and into the drainage layer. And as always, for our substrate, we're going to be using the Arcadia Earth mix. This is actually the jungle one because it's more of a tropical substrate and tropical tank that we are building. So we'll put a layer in, and then we'll start to put our decor in, and then we'll probably put some more just so it's all sort of solid and weighed down inside. So we're going to put our largest plant in first. This is a nice broad-leafed plant that the Crested Gecko is going to be able to walk on and sleep in the folds and stuff like that without it. It will take its weight, it won't bend the plants or ruin it. So we're going to put this inside the back corner. So now that we've taken it out of the pot, we've taken some of the dirt off to free up these roots. So hopefully these roots will now have a bit more space. They can root themselves in the soil. That's why we're going to leave the tank at least a week before we put the Crested Gecko in. That'll give these plants time to settle in, root down, and be nice and secure.
So these will be bent anyway by the log, because the log's going to go in. We might have to prune this one. Yeah, depending on how the log goes. So next up we've got a fern of sorts. It's Nephorilifis green. We thought this would make a nice like ground plant.
Where are you putting the cork mark?
At the back. So next up we're going to be adding in our springtail colony. This is before we actually put on like the top layer of moss or add any more ornaments and like decoration in. We have one colony now going in. And this makes for a nice clean-up crew and make sure that it all stays nice and clean inside the actual bioactive enclosure. Break down any, you know, waste or dead leaves or anything that fall to the ground. Alright, so we have actually swapped the plants around because it was a better fit for the log to go the other way. And we're now going to put that log back in. I think we're going to have to dig a little hole for the base of the log. But yeah, it just made... You kind of have to work with the kind of wood that you've got, and it is annoying that like sometimes it's really close to fitting how you want it to fit, but you do have to change.
Thanks.
Oh, sorry. That was originally.
So next up we're going to add our moss. This is different to sort of sphagnum moss that you get. You can see it's in like a whole sheet, so we can cut it up and put it down, and it'll add like a nice barrier. We'll do probably half the amount. We'll cut out patches, put them down, and then the rest will be soil with leaves.
Alright, so now that we've put down the carpet of moss, we've kind of just scattered it like around the plants. This is what the great thing is about this, is you kind of like tear it apart and like kind of mold it around the environment that you're using. We still have like half the bag left. We still have quite a bit left. So next up, I think we're just going to add in our rest of our decor and then prune some of the plants.
So we have got a water bowl. This is the Exoterra corner water dish, which looks quite cool. It's nice and brocky. A lot of the other stuff that we're going to be putting in there, we've got to wait till it's all set up, because we'll move it on the same day that we move Pip, the Crested Gecko. And that's in, and we're also going to be adding some of the Ardisia leaves that come in the Exoterra dual layer floor pack. We use these quite a lot, they're quite good in a lot of our setups. So we're just going to sprinkle some of them in. This gives it a great naturalistic look, and these will actually break down and be broken down by the springtails and isopods that we're putting inside of the soil.
We are going to be adding isopods as well into this. We weren't actually able to pick any up at the shop, so we've ordered them online. So we're just waiting for them to arrive, and they'll go in later this week around the same time that Pip will be going in as well. So now that we've put the lid back on, when you're doing a bioactive enclosure, you actually need another light as well. You're going to need an LED bar. We've gone with the Jungle Dawn 15 watt LED bar. I think it's a new one they've released.
Yeah, there's a few different sizes, and this is going to optimize the plant growth, which can be really good, especially if you've got ones that are deeper down. See, like that fern is at the back and there's going to be stuff in front of it. This LED bar will penetrate everything, get a nice amount of light in there, and it will help your plants grow a lot quicker, and they'll be a lot healthier and brighter as well. So as well as that LED light, we'll have the UVB light that's already on there. Obviously we've mentioned we'll move that over once the gecko goes in. And there'll be lots of natural light, but also she'll be able to hide because she is a crepuscular species.
And the good thing with actual Arcadia lights is you can actually connect them together, no matter which one. Like you got to make sure that they are the same variety and have the same plug. But there's actually a connector, so you know, if you have it on a timer, it will go off at the same time. It's got a 2-pin here, and then you just connect it to the current one that you've got up there to another one of the 2 pins, and that allows you to, you know, you have a timer, it all goes off at night, everything, you're not flicking tons of switches. It's a bit stuck in there. Nice. So this is what the cable that you get to come with it allows you to connect them. which we're going to be doing now. We haven't actually seen how bright this is. I've heard that it's, from the reviews, it's quite a bright light.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure compared to this is obviously the shade dweller, so it is a T8, but it's designed for the crepuscular species. This is going to come on, and I'm pretty sure you'll notice a difference on the camera.
Yeah, and as you can see, this is a nice bright LED bar. This is going to make sure the plants have loads of growth and gives you guys a bit better viewing of what's actually inside the tank and how it's looking. And it is looking quite nice.
So we've done everything we can do for now. We're going to let our plants root in. We're going to let the springtails sort of get settled. Make sure we get them isopods added as well. For you, it's only going to be a couple of seconds, but we've got to wait a week till we can do any more.
So we'll see you guys in a second. Alright, so before we actually cut to me and Tom back putting Pip in the enclosure, our woodlice actually arrived a little later than we were expecting. We've got two pots just here. We've got the tropical greys and the giant oranges. Now, of course, Tom is at work right now, so I'm going to be putting these in myself. Yeah, they were a day late, so we were planning to schedule a video of us putting them in together, but it seems like it's just going to be me today. So we're going to go ahead and add these into the bioactive enclosure.
Okay guys, so it's a couple weeks later. We've let all the plants settle in. They've rooted in nicely. We've been misting every day with our automated mister, like you saw in the video last week. We've put in some extra woodlice. You did that.
I did, yeah. They arrived late. We were planning to do it together, but then, yeah, they arrived a day late, so our work schedule kind of messed up.
But we have got some more to add in now. These are the giant orange ones. The ones we got last time were a little bit smaller. These ones are actually quite nice and big. Like, look at that chunky, chunky louse.
So we're gonna go ahead. I don't actually have these in here. We picked them up at a pet store that we went to today. But we're just gonna release them and see what kind of amount we've got. So now we have some bigger ones in there as well, which is cool, because we ordered the giant oranges, but yeah, they were, as you saw, they were a lot smaller than we were planning. But now we've got the actual big ones in there as well, so you'll see those running around. You can already start to see a couple of them running around now.
And now it's going to be a case of adding in the extra stuff from Pip's original tank. So we're going to move across some of the vines, her favourite cork bark, and we're going to move her feeding ledge on to the other tank as well as the UVB light.
So we're going to cut now, take all the stuff out that we're putting in there and get Pip out as well, and then we'll return when we start to put everything inside.
So guys, we've emptied her old tank. We moved over the light. We use a Shade Dweller T5. This is 7% UVB. It's a crepuscular species, so they don't require a lot of UVB. And once it goes through the mesh, it probably goes down to about 5%, which is great.
So now we're going to start putting in all the random accessories that we've taken out and decided to move into the new one. Starting off, we're going to be installing the water dish and / jelly pot dish that we had on the last one, which I believe we're going to put on this side. So the good thing that Exoterra has done here is it's a suction. It's not actually a sticky pad, which is cool because it allows you to move it around without any issue. So next up, we're going to be putting in two different vines that we had. So we've got the regular one, which is the Exoterra large vine, and then the Exoterra moss vine as well. So we're just going to have a sort around, kind of see what kind of position we want them in. Okay, so I kind of wanted it to...
We're also moving over one of the cork tubes. This is one of Pip's most favourite features in her tank, and these are great for any sort of arboreal geckos, be it crested geckos, gargoyle geckos, leechy geckos, or any of the day geckos as well. They like to sort of get in the tubes, feel nice and secure, and it's a little bit darker in there as well. So we're going to try and put that in this sort of gap we've created. Ollie's just moving that moss one in. We'll try and make a little hide for her in that corner.
Alright, so we've kind of had a move around of all the bits, and this is kind of the final result of what we've gone for. As you can see, we've got kind of the cork bark in the middle of the two sides of the log, and that is being supported by the vine as well, creating a nice bit of shade, you know, if she wants to go in there and hide, which she normally does. And then of course we've added this vine over here as for more climbing as well, allowing just more kind of free roaming. So right now we think it looks pretty good. We're happy with the results, and it's now time to move over some of the electrical parts as well, which we're going to be putting inside.
So we're going to be using a digital hydrometer that we use in the other one. We just stick it to the front, and then it's got this little it's got this little humidity probe you can stick to the glass, and it's going to measure your humidity nice and accurately. So we're going to put that in on the side.
Alright, so now we've taken off the heat mat and all of the digital thermometer as well. So we're going to be installing that. First off, we're going to be taping the heat mat at the back corner where they had it before. It's lost its stickiness now that it... Oh. It kind of lost its stickiness, but it actually kind of also still sticks. But we are going to be taping it down just in case as well. And then we've also got to get the probe in there now. To fit on the inside.
So always when you're using any sort of temperature equipment, this time we're using a heat mat, we have got our thermostat. So we use the digital temperature thermostat. This one is an on-off one because we're using the thermostat. We're going to stick that to the side with Velcro so that we can move it if needs be. We've already put the probe on, and it was already set to 25 degrees. It's just slightly above room temperature. You don't want to get this species too hot. With crested geckos, just above room temperature is perfectly fine.
So before we put the gecko in, we're just going to fill up the water bowls. So we've got one on the floor like you saw previously in this video, and then one on the roof as well. So that gives 2 supplies of fresh water. And then the jelly pot as well.
So without further ado, I think it's time to move Pip over.
Alright, so as you've just seen, we've put Pip in her new enclosure, and she'll just kind of, you know, get the feels of it, especially tonight when she comes out and she's more active. She will get a bit more of a run around. She seems okay now. This is the first time that she's been out of the enclosure, like other than when we got her, so this is all kind of new for her. She seems to be calming down, and hopefully she'll start exploring in a minute.
So we hope you enjoyed our Bioactive Crested Gecko setup. It's a lot better than the one we had before, and we'll probably do some more in the future because we'll look into getting some more crested geckos, gargle geckos, stuff like that.
So we hope you have enjoyed, and don't forget to subscribe and leave a like on this video, and also don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok so you get more daily updates and you'll see more pictures of this new enclosure.
But without further ado, we'll see you in the next one.
Bye guys.